drink, you don't go to clubs. No, I don't.
I don't know if I've ever been to a club, so and I
You
don't
have
think I
not
would
missed
enjoy
out.
it.
You could watch
They
it in a
suck.
movie,
See,
and it probably
right.
looks
Yeah.
better and more spacious.
And
in a
they're
movie.
able to have conversations. In the movies, they're able to have conversations. No one goes,
Right.
huh? What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You never see that in the movie. I just watched The Dark Knight at Elk Grove yesterday, and there's that scene where Batman tracks down Eric Roberts
Yep.
in the club, right? And and Batman with even with his voice, they're able to have a perfectly good conversation.
Yeah.
No, it's the most unrealistic part of that entire movie.
Greetings and/or salutations, and welcome to Imbibe Cinema. The Imbibe Cinema podcast is brought to you by the Blue Whiskey Independent Film Festival, otherwise known as BWIF. I'm Jonathan C. Leggett, along with my co-host,
Trisha Leggett.
as well as our producer,
Michael Nowens.
and we are also pleased to have a special guest, a first-time attendee here. We have
Erik Childress.
of Movie Madness podcast, as well as a podcast with one of our mutual friends, Morgana Geyer, which is known as The Friendship Dilemma. So please check out those podcasts and hear Eric's dulcet tones there, as well as you will hear them here tonight. In this episode, we're going to be discussing the 2024 drama Life of Chuck. The cocktail we are imbibing is called The Life of Chuck, and it consists of a rye whiskey, honey, lemon, and hot water. It's like a hot toddy. If you had a neoblastoma, it would feel real nice.
Oh.
Too soon?
Oh,
Too
that too soon.
Yeah.
Too soon. Yikes! We had to wait to the last 20 seconds of the podcast to bring that up.
To throw those kinds of things in there, you raise a valid point, a very valid point. Look for this episode's recap link in our show notes, where you'll also find a written summary of our discussion, along with a picture of the hot toddy, and the ingredients needed to make your own. All right, so I know, Eric, one of the big things that I think you had posited for us to discuss was what is Act 3, which is really the first act of the movie. And I think it is probably the best place to start, mainly because they used it to start the movie, but also just because it is easily the most Stephen King-esque portion of the film, I would say, unless you feel otherwise. But what exactly were your thoughts on what is Act 3?
Well, it's interesting that when I first saw the movie, it was like one of the opening night movies at the Toronto Film Festival in 2024. And I knew nothing about it. I knew that it was a Stephen King story. I knew who was in it, but I didn't really even know what the story was about. I was as clueless as the people seeing the billboards at the beginning of the film, right? I had no idea what the story was about. I had read the story. I don't remember if I even heard of the story. Frankly, my Stephen King days are a little bit behind me as far as the reading is concerned. But that's on me. That's not on Stephen King. But
He doesn't write very much, so it's hard to get new stuff.
You can't lock him down. But but when I watched the movie the first time, I was just so kind of entranced by it that I wasn't there trying to sort of like figure it out. I sort of let the little, because clearly there are clues and stuff thrown out in the movie. If there's even supposed to be clues, I look at that a little bit differently too. But I remember, I don't know, probably months later, maybe almost a full year like after it came out, I was talking to someone who had just seen it, and they liked it, weren't as crazy about it as I was, but blurred out like what they believe the third act to be, and I'm just like, yeah, and that totally makes sense, and I'm sure that is what 99% of the people watching the movie believe it to be.
Oh yeah.
But I have a completely other variation on it.
Okay.
And I'm not saying I'm right. This is not me trying to upend anyone's, belief in what that is. Because it was just the way that I viewed the movie the first time I saw it. And if this is a stubborn way of me holding on to that, so be it. But the way I look at it is, I like to view it as Chuck and the universe are connected. That it's not something that's happened in Chuck's mind. My view is the universe is ending at the beginning.
For me, it's you contain multitudes. The first watch in Act 2 of the movie, you see the little girl on the roller skates, and it is almost page for page how she was approaching, in what is Act 3. And to me, the universe is the people, the places, the things, everything that he contains shutting down. And what is interesting to that is it's almost the Truman Show-esque element that is, do the people around me actually exist? Do they contain their own multitudes? Are they their own individuals, or are they just actors in the play that is me? Now, whether that's the entire universe or just the universe that is Chuck.
And the first time I saw it, that's what I saw too.
Okay.
The second time I saw it, knowing what was happening, I imagined this was all the mechanics, like his actual brain. All these people are different synapses and they're different parts of his brain. And so California, when it goes, that's something important. It's a function. But when Pornhub goes down, it was like, well, I guess that's a part of Chuck that no longer functions. And so, like, I thought about it. I was like, biologically, you could break down all the way the internet stops working. Well, it's like, a lot of things aren't talking to each other anymore. Yeah. The brain's not talking to the body anymore. So you could find like a metaphor for all the things that are shutting down and make it be a physical, like this is the cancer. And that's what it, like the sinkholes and everything. That's the disease. I went down a really dark place the second time, but
yeah, and you're absolutely right. I mean, there's no way I would sit here and dispute that viewpoint of it. But I also sometimes look at like that as a simplistic way, which is not to say that what you're saying is simplistic, because you've just added elements to it that I'm sure a lot of people who just look at it go like, "Oh, that's all in Chuck's mind." And they just leave it at that, where you are breaking down Pornhub and the internet and the different functions and whatnot that are the syntax that are breaking down. That you've already thought about it in multitudes of various levels that a lot of people probably don't. But I also like to think that if any of us were dying, that we wouldn't cast some random person as the lead character of our demise, you know? And Chiwetel Ejiofor is the lead character for the first half hour of the movie. And we see, later on that he was a teacher at the school where Chuck went, and he wasn't in his class. He was probably another grade or something like that. And he was a chaperone at the dance, that's where he sees Karen Gillan. And so like the idea that, because like we never see Matthew Lillard at any point throughout the movie, do we?
Well, and we don't see his wife and his son in his mind as other people. They never and if you collect all these faces and none of them, like for that to be the main character and not to be somebody that's directly connected in your immediate life, like your parents or his grandfather, any of it. That was interesting.
Right. What logically makes more sense that, he would like some random person that he saw maybe a couple times in school from 28 years ago, or whatever it is, is like the main character talking about the demise of his own mind, or the fact that Chiwetel Ejiofor probably looks the same as he did 28 years ago. And Karen Gillan, I think we can make a case that they looked as good at that point in their life as they do today. This movie is all about, we can talk about how it's about life, but it's certainly about death in so many ways. Yeah. And I like the idea in a weird, more cosmic kind of thing. Carl Sagan is included in this story.
Yes.
That the way that Ejiofor tells the Carl Sagan calendar story is
Yes.
enrapturing. It is
Yes.
just
Yes.
like you sit there. He does it better than Sagan does it.
Yes.
I had heard it so many times, and yet I was still completely pulled in just by the way he was doing
Yeah,
it.
I think maybe a month before I saw the movie, I think I heard like Neil deGrasse Tyson do that, a variation of that.
And
Right.
I think part of that is the delivery of this speech is very personal. It's very it's that relationship between the two of them. It's supposed to be comforting almost in his mind. And she's like, and again, I was told there would not be math.
Yep.
Like, why is there math?
That line, it feels like a throwaway comic line, but then when you get to the Mark Hamill stuff later in the movie, how math is connected to all of us, the way that we might reject math or not be good at it, not realizing how important it is to the fundamental building blocks of our universe. Disclosure Day right now talks about that a lot.
It's so much different when you in the context of that scene to know that when you really think about the world ending around you and then you hear it told to you like a story. It's very powerful and it's very beautiful. And again, I think I'd heard it before, and it felt different.
Well, it's different, I think, just from the looking at the cosmic calendar, I guess, as the world is ending is kind of a different perspective.
Yeah.
I like viewing the movie as, again, the way that Chuck and the universe are connected, sort of like in the same way that Elliot and E.T. were psychically connected. So when E.T. got sick, Elliot got sick. The idea that Chuck represents failed potential, failed dreams, and that's a running theme throughout the movie. Carl Lumbly, the funeral home director, talks a couple times about wanting to be a weatherman, but realized he didn't have the capacity to do that. So there's there's a whole thing about that running through here, and the idea that if the universe can't embrace and protect someone like Chuck, to realize their full potential in the same way that we probably haven't realized the universe's full potential because of the way that we have beaten it to death. And when they talk about it, Lumbly again has a thing where he says we raped this world, this universe of ours. We paid a little bit more attention to it. Maybe we'd be more deserving of people like Chuck in this world. So the idea that he's dying, the universe is dying with him, is in some ways it's sad, but maybe it's what we deserve in some respect.
The way that you describe that now, it's like I gotta watch it again. With that mindset, especially that Elliot connection. I think that mindset changes the perspective entirely. So yeah, I'm definitely watching the movie again.
Yeah.
And it's not, I will preface it by saying it's not a theory that it is entirely played out, 100% throughout the movie, because there are moments in the movie that you could twist it and go well, clearly Legion 4 isn't living in the same house as Chuck. They make a reference that house was sold. I think a mall is put up there or something like that. So there are moments throughout the movie that suggest that as far as a timeline is concerned, my theory doesn't hold water. But I don't care.
Well, and then it's so well done that you can have different theories about it. As he's talking about the end of the universe in the beginning, he sees the door, and he's not in that house. It's just a random thing that is from something else. That there's a lot,
because we at least see the outside of his house at least when he's talking to Lillard.
Right.
So it's not the same house.
No,
that's the first clue when you watch the second time that this is not real. What's happening here?
right? Yeah, because I thought nothing of the door until the second viewing, where I was like, "What? Wait, what?"
Oh, they held on that door for so long. I'm like, this is going to come back, and lo and behold, when it did, I was already ready for it on the first watch.
I think there's so many parts, so many memories, so many things that we collect throughout our lives that it could all be scrambled eggs up there. It could all be just random pieces of things that are just scattered. And if your brain is shutting down, it could be random things that are coming to light. But it is interesting that they're not main characters in his life that we're following.
Yeah, like he wouldn't like. I can't imagine if any of us, God forbid, in our final moments, are crafting narratives between random people that we know. Like who cares if they're an ex-wife and they're what their story is.
Fair. I think, but at the same time, I feel like it's hard for us to say that just because somebody, the object permanence, with children, to say that as soon as something walks out of my line of sight, that it ceases to exist, that it has its own narratives. That it
I'm not saying that.
And so, to me, that's at least where I foresee this is almost everybody's brain is its own multiverse.
Right.
And as that brain is shutting down, that multiverse is ending.
Right. And then if you want to go back to the source material, it's like, what was Stephen King thinking? Was he thinking, all the characters I create, they're going on with their lives and they're interacting and they have their own thing going on?
Because I think you could also say that, because like we talk about these clues that are dropped throughout the story, these things that keep coming up, like the there was Cover Girl, I think is the name of the movie that the grandmother and Chuck are watching.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes,
with Rita
dance.
Hayworth.
So like they're like the little things like that, and Give Me Some Lovin' reappears throughout the thing. That even though we're going like, well, these are things that Chuck remembers, these are all things that we've all experienced as a collective. We've all heard that song. Many of us have seen that movie. So it's not untoward to think that two different people could have a shared experience, which is what the universe is. It's a collection of shared experiences, whether we acknowledge them or not. So when I watch the movie, I prefer to look at it through that lens as opposed to just I get so tired of people, like, you watch something, you're like, oh, that was interesting, and then people go like, well, he was dead the whole time, or like, what are you getting at? Like, people still debate the end of Taxi Driver. Was it a fantasy? Was that real? And stuff like that. But you see, that happens more and more nowadays, and I'm getting sick of it. Everyone's got a theory about something. I watched something something else in Toronto this last year, and they're just like, he was like he was in purgatory there. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, why does he have? So I started doing this thing when I watch movies. It's like, I'm taking this movie at face value.
Yeah.
I'm taking this movie, the narrative it's telling me. I'm not going to sit there and go like, well, they're trying to clue me in that something alternate reality is happening. Yeah. Maybe it is, but screw it. I'm not viewing it through that lens. Yeah.
I was about to say, did you watch the show Lost? What was your theory on that?
I did watch the show Lost, and I liked it a lot, including the finale.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, same. I openly wept. I 100% agree. It almost seems that, like, production houses and whatnot are all trying to go in one of two directions. They've accepted that as a society we're all on our screen at the same time that Netflix is going, and so they don't try to get heady or as visual anymore, and they just try to hit a bunch of funny lines
and repeating
things, and
over
so
and over
that
again.
way you don't have to think
Right.
at the same time. Or they're going so heady that they're trying to, make you overly think and pontificate everything that is going on.
There's plenty of time for pontification. You could do that, if the movie let the movie work the first time, then go back and pontificate.
Yeah, let it keep you up at night. Let it, be something that 2 weeks later you're like, oh, you know what? I really thought about this one part of that movie. Yeah, those are great.
Well, and it was a very unique structure, and I appreciated that. The fact that, like, we have these act shifts out of order, and then we have the narrator that shows up on occasion, not consistent, and it was different. It was a unique way of telling the story, and I know that Flanagan really wanted to make sure it was authentic and honored the original source material, that he didn't want
Which
it
is
to...
a short story, right?
Yes, it was a short story. He said he originally read the short story in 2020 when the world felt like it was ending. And at first, he went to a really dark place in reading it because, the world was really dark at that time as well. And then he felt like the more he read, the more hopeful he felt and the more uplifted he felt by the story. And then it was like, oh, this needs to be shared. This needs to be on film, and it has to be done right.
Yeah. I remember after seeing the movie at the festival that a colleague of mine who had read the book, one of his big complaints was that Nick Offerman was like, it was literally like listening to an audiobook, because those narration passages are like verbatim in the book.
And that was a complaint he had?
It was a complaint. It was just like, that's a screenplay. Okay, I'm just, cutting and pasting, word for word. He didn't like it as much as we did.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, segueing, I guess, using that narration, which really comes into play in that second act, especially with that dance sequence.
Yes, the busking.
Yeah. The improvisational nature of it. Everybody that had seen this movie was like, oh my gosh, you got to see this dance that Tom Hiddleston does in this movie. What I loved is that it was not something that you could see somebody easily just being like, oh, I'm going to dance to this.
Yeah.
And it was just something that called out to him. And that scene did linger with me quite a bit after the viewing of the movie, because I was like trying to figure out the scene.
Well, when I saw it, I thought there are these moments that you have in your life where like just who you are as at like the core of your soul or whatever, it just has this moment where it shines, and or you have this where there's something where things align, where you connect with other people in a way that you shouldn't connect. And it's just like beautiful, powerful moment that doesn't mean anything, but somehow does mean something. And that's really hard to like describe and show.
Yeah.
And I think it was such a beautiful way of doing that, to be like, this is life. Life is this craziness, this beautiful thing, this random connection.
Well, I mean, and at least, to me, it was the sense memory of his grandmother banging in the, like, they do an amazing job of cutting that together, that, the her hitting the wooden spoon on the side of the pot, the dance move, it takes him to a childlike, memory that sense memory can do an amazing amount of things sometimes, to take you back to your childhood. And I think that's exactly what she was out there trying to do, was, by just letting the earth dictate, what she's going to play. And she doesn't expect somebody to dance. She expects to, see somebody do something, and that's going to just be inspired to change her tune. But the fact that he suddenly starts dancing, it's like, no, game is on.
Because somebody's directly interacting.
They're feeding off of each other. And so she's looking for that improvisation, that spark, and the fact that he jumps in and starts doing it. And then you've got a young lady who's just having like the worst day, and just wants to dance. And it's like it is kismet that these sparks are happening.
It's about that human connection that we don't know we necessarily always crave. I could certainly be a loner myself at many times and whatnot. But, like I just watched the TV show Pluribus. There's a whole section of that movie where, she hates everything that's going on, but she gets left alone for a period. And when someone comes back, she has a moment, even though it might not be the person she wants to be having that moment with. It's just there. And so you have the literal metaphor of, like you just said, someone changing their tune in the moment, right? And he has a sense memory. So that's what sparks him to do it. And then he invites someone else to be a part of it, and it's this beautiful, spontaneous moment that, that everyone in that moment is going to remember, on their deathbed probably, and maybe in their mind, it's going to be them that took that leap and did it. Or maybe it's going to inspire someone else to take that leap and whatnot. The leap that Chuck wasn't able to do because he had all this early tragedy in his life, and his grandfather convinced him that there's a positivity to accountancy, as opposed to being a dancer, which is something that a lot of parents probably tell their kids who want to go into the arts and the dancing or be a ventriloquist or something like that. So it's sad, but there's a truth to it, but it's sad at the same time, you know?
Yeah. Well, like, my dad told us, he's like, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life, but love something with health and dental.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to take a few moments to fill our glasses and get ready to imbibe more after this. The Blue Whiskey Independent Film Festival exhibits short and feature-length motion pictures that utilize story elements in a new and exciting way. Our official selections are a carefully assembled blend of imaginative, sophisticated, and full-bodied stories. This is what our name represents. BWIF audiences expect to experience character-driven independent cinema that is fueled by the filmmaker's passion for the art of visual storytelling. Filmmakers can expect an intimate festival experience where their personal story is valued as much as the one projected on the big screen. I am Jonathan C. Leggett. I'm here along with Trisha Leggett and Michael Nowens and our special guest, Erik Childress. We are discussing Life of Chuck. Are you enjoying this podcast? Please subscribe or follow us on all of your favorite podcast providers to get the new episodes as soon as we release them. Rate and leave us a review to help the show reach that larger audience. And you can also follow Imbibe Cinema on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Letterboxd. We want to hear your thoughts on Life of Chuck or just in general. Is there a film that you feel we should be reviewing? Is there something that you feel we missed the mark on when we did review it? Look for the link to our show notes and send us a text or leave us a voicemail. And we'll make sure to find some time in our break of our episode to respond. So, we've kind of already discussed to a degree just the first watch versus the second watch and how important that has been. Erik, to you, is there a film that you would only ever watch once? Is there a film that you would watch a second time to, wrap up some buttons? And then what is a film that is a guilty pleasure and you will watch as often as is humanly possible?
Oh, gosh. Okay.
I know. Really throw it in there.
Yeah, a movie that I have only watched once, and it's probably my go-to answer, a movie that I just, even though I acknowledge it's a very good movie, but I would never want to watch it again, Requiem for a Dream.
Oh, yeah. Fascinating.
Nope.
All right.
Understand
I
that.
can see it. Saw it at the press screening in 2000, and I'm good. I get it. I'm like, well done, and I'm good. That. A movie that I would only watch a second time just to give it another give it a second chance, or just to like a Life of Chuck, to
right.
What I lovingly said. I mean, Life of Chuck. We've already kind of discussed. I think a couple of us might watch it a third time now. But to me,
if there's a twist,
I've seen The Sixth Sense twice. I saw it both times in the theater. And the second time I went back just to see how tight the loose ends were, how start to finish, whether or not, whether there was anything that was so blatantly obvious that that you would know it. And so to me, I've seen it now twice. I don't think I need to see it a third time.
Yeah. See, I never went back to watch The Sixth Sense a second time because it sucks. And if you want to start a whole Shyamalan podcast with me, that's a whole other topic. Opening night, whole group of friends and I went to see the movie. 15, 20 minutes in, there's that dinner scene. Then he goes, and I just go, he's dead.
Oh my God. You're like watching a movie with my wife.
Yeah. And I probably ruined the movie for everyone in my vicinity. It's so obvious.
There was a Star Wars movie we went to go see in the theater. This is back right after kids, so we were excited.
It was Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. And so I made the mistake of ruining it because I turned to John halfway through. I'm like, they took an old man to the Death Star. We know what's going to happen to him now, right?
And I'm like,
and he's like, what?
No. Yeah. That was another movie that I was just so happy to be watching that I wasn't thinking ahead this is just A New Hope. Just refit it.
Yes.
I didn't care. I still don't really care. Let me think about the second one for a second.
Okay.
I'll have to maybe come back to that. And the other one was a guilty pleasure. I don't always like to call it a guilty pleasure because if I'm going to watch it so many times, I must love it on some level.
Right.
So I'll Flash Gordon.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, The Flash Gordon is one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. And I know it's goofy, I know it's silly and everything, but you put that thing on, I'm in hog heaven.
Okay. All right. I might take another pass on Life of Chuck here and watch it a third time because I do think a lot of the discussion that we've been having already today makes me go like, all right, let's see if there's other things that I can pick up on this. This film obviously had a lot of layers to it, and a lot of things that you were able to peel back and see. And again, I think there's ones that even more watches will help illuminate more of those layers. Is there a film that you guys can think of that has lots of layers that you have actively enjoyed that you think our listeners may or may not have seen that they could potentially enjoy? And I'm not just talking like Shrek, because everybody loves parfaits.
Okay, so like my brain doesn't fully function anymore. So like random things come to mind instead of like, oh yeah, it's just like, no, this is what comes to mind. And for better or for worse, I'm going to go with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Okay. I would potentially go with one that is almost metaphorical and metaphysical, which is Inception.
Yeah, that entered my mind too.
Did I just Inception it into your brain?
Yeah, you probably did.
See, there you go.
Because of the layer, the layer thing.
Yes, quite literally.
I don't know. One, I guess I would. This is more of a recent one, and I haven't watched it very many times.
Okay.
But I've found that there's something about it that I just really love, and that's the Atom Project.
Oh yeah.
I went into it not really thinking much of it, like, oh, okay, I'll watch this movie, and it just connected with me in a very, very fun way. I'm sure I will come up with at 2:00 in the morning or something. I will shoot up and be like, oh my god, this is the layered movie I should have said in the podcast.
Fair.
And by shoot up, you mean sit up in bed, not actual shoot up.
Yes, not actually shoot up. Yeah, that's true. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, you don't want to throw your back out in the process.
That's a whole other podcast. Speaking of Requiem for a Dream, you just bring it all full circle. Multitudes.
There you go.
So the first one I thought of, just because it's maybe a little bit more obscure, and it's a murder mystery. That is one, like, even I've seen it multiple times, and I still forget sometimes how it concludes, which is a pretty great thing to say about a murder mystery.
Yeah.
It's a movie called The Last of Sheila. Have you ever seen this movie?
No.
It's from the 1978, maybe a little bit earlier than that, maybe even earlier than that. Written by Anthony Perkins and Stephen Sondheim.
Wow, that's a weird combo.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wrote the screenplay because they were like big fans of like puzzles and game nights and stuff like that. And it's really it's in many ways it's one of the inspirations for Glass Onion, the second Knives Out movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all about a rich guy that invites a bunch of his friends out to his boat to play these games, and someone ends up dead. And
James
Coburn.
And
it's James Coburn, Richard Benjamin, Diane Cannon,
James Mason.
great cat. James Mason is in it, and I think Raquel Welch is in it, and it's like one of the best murder mysteries a lot of people have never seen.
Huh. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now it's
Put that on a list.
We are putting it on a list.
It's going on the list.
So, coming back to the life of Chuck, do we want to talk about Chuck's youth?
Yes, I really enjoy the whole seeing death thing. When you said the first part was like very Stephen King, I'm like, to me, this is very Stephen King. The whole like, there's a room where you can see when people die, but the people that die, it's a child that gets hit by a car. It's
a man that hangs himself.
A man who hangs himself. and sees his wife, and then he sees his own.
He sees himself.
And I find that interesting that you get all of that for Mark Hamill's character, but then
he only sees
his own death.
Yeah.
But there's like this epiphany that comes to. Well, I mean, it's like in your life, everybody has that moment where death gets real, where you suddenly realize this is limited time only. There is a finite amount of time that I have, and you have to live your life while you've got it. Mm-hmm. And I love that this was the way he made that clear through this, through seeing all these people dying. And it's creepy and it's eerie, but it's also this wonderful way of going, there's this moment where you realize, oh God, death is real and it's coming for me.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about like what is the most Stephen King part of the story. I mean, this is a story that kind of fits more in with the things like Stand By Me and Shawshank Redemption and stuff like that. That's our level. But there's this magical realism going all throughout this story. But the entire movie is, in many ways, it's a horror movie because it is about death, and that's a horror that we all experience. So sometimes we experience by people that we know that die, sometimes suddenly, and then that, like you said, that sort of that lingering feeling that we know that it's, death and taxes, right? I mean, I like to think that Stephen King was just listening to Tom Petty at one point and just like had the idea from the entire story. The grandfather is trying to protect Chuck from this knowledge. Because what do you do with that knowledge? If you knew you don't know specifically when you're going to die. And like he has when his drunken stupor, he says like the kid died like soon. The other kid was months away and stuff like that. Yep. So you don't know specifically, even when he sees himself in bed, he can't really tell how old he is.
How old he is, yeah.
Right. But like you said, he has that epiphany that he's going to, whatever time there is between this, I'm going to live my life to the fullest. But at the same time, like if you knew, if someone gave you an envelope and said, and you open it and said, this is the date you're going to die, what do you do with that information? Do you, it becomes a Stephen King thing, get busy living or get busy dying, right? Mm-hmm. So are you going to, like, if you're going to find out you're going to die next week, you're just going to go, well, screw it. Like, who cares about anything? Let me just live these last 7 days, right? Yeah. But if it's 3 months, 3 years, 30 years, it's just like, what do you do? And what do you do when it gets closer to that time? Yeah. And sometimes, like, would you want to know? Would you want to know?
Well, and I think Mark Hamill's line is the waiting is the hardest part.
Yep.
It's the waiting. That I've heard a ton of times when it comes to cancer. It's waiting to know what the test results are going to be, waiting to know what the diagnosis, waiting to know if there is no more treatment.
Next
like steps. It's the waiting that is the hardest part. And that gave me the creeps when he said that. Because I find that is so true. What makes life so beautiful is the fact that it is like it means something because it is limited, right? Because it's the shadows and the light situation. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When we're talking about performances, I loved seeing Mia Sara come back.
I'll admit, I didn't recognize her the first time I saw the movie.
No.
And I don't think I'd seen her since like Time Cop. Like that was the last time.
Right. Yes. Right.
Yes.
Yep.
She's got a couple of really nice scenes. Benjamin Pajak is wonderful as the young Chuck. Wonderful.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh,
yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of time travel that you mentioned earlier associated with something else, how about the fact that the one girl's boyfriend is basically dressed like Marty McFly at the dance?
Yes. Yes. I love that. But if on the time travel thought, the mind-bending thought, okay, so when Walt Whitman wrote Song of Myself, and he writes, I contain multitudes.
Yes.
Then years later, another writer uses that on a short story, and then it made into a movie. And it's like, if you go back to just one line and look at all the things that came out of that one line in this very long poem. Which is so funny because when the teacher's reading it, I'm like, was she reading the whole thing? That's like, it's a long moment.
I mean, that could be the reason that the class was losing their mind.
Right.
Yeah. You got to fill an hour. I mean, so.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, brief shout out just to go back to the opening sequence. Like, I watched it again. I forgot how great David Desmalchin is, and he's the that does the Pornhub.
Oh yeah,
thing. Yep. And I can remember the Pornhub joke, and that's how I was associating. He's the Pornhub guy, but like talking about like his wife leaving and everything, and it's really it's like 2.5 minutes or whatever that is, if that.
Yeah,
and it's just beautiful little performance that he's given, and I just wonderful. I love David Desmalchin.
And what an absolute amazing thing about it! It establishes what else is going on in the world. Is his wife didn't just leave him. She left him for like a high school sweetheart that they dated for like 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, like a month.
Or a month. And he's like, you throw 20 years, and a child away to go chase that.
That's a reoccurring thing throughout that sequence is the discussion, divorces versus marriages, or that doctor left because so and so just showed up. They broke up, but like she just showed up and he left with her, and that kind of thing that it was like in these times, in the darkest times, people are still seeking out love.
Yes.
Yeah, and it just and to reverse it. When you think about it, like we're focused on Desmalchin, so we're going, "Oh my God, that's terrible." But at the same time, if the story was focused on her, it'd be about her seeking out that thing that she thought she lost. Maybe terrible what she does, but that's her journey.
Yeah,
like this is a very sad movie. There's a lot of sadness. There's a lot of death. There's a lot of thinking about death, and there's a lot of that gets transported into you that you start thinking about death and life and all these kind of things and whatnot. And yet, at the end of it, I thought, but that's not how I remember the movie. I remember the dancing. I remember the scene at the school dance where he has the courage to go up to her and have that dance and have the joy of that. I remember the joy of the movie, which is what life is supposed to be. That's what I think about when I think about this movie.
Now that we've referenced Back to the Future, this movie is heavy. It's a lot to digest, but it is so beautiful, and I think that beauty is what you carry on afterwards. I agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lovingly so. All right, so Eric, tell our viewers where they can
viewers.
Listeners, the people who have tuned in to hear our dulcet tones. Tell them where and how they can see you and where they can hear you that you got coming up.
Okay, we'll start with the podcast. We mentioned the Movie Madness podcast a couple times. We do that twice a week. We do a physical media show on Mondays, and then with Peter Subzinski, and then Steve Prokopi and I review most of the new movies every week on Friday. So that's twice a week. The Friendship Dilemma we mentioned with Morgan Geyer that I co-host with her. We do that. That's a little more sporadically, but we got several. We do focus on one movie per episode, so you can go back and listen to those at any given point. I write a box office column for Rotten Tomatoes every week, so you see me doing some math there. And the Critics Classic series that we do at Oak Grove Cinema, we do that every other week. Now we got the Christopher Nolan series going through the rest of the summer with Insomnia July 22nd, Inception August 5th, and then Interstellar on August 19th, and we're going to announce September and October probably the next couple of weeks. And I'm a producer of the Chicago Critics Film Festival at the Music Box Theater every year. We've just had a meeting about it today, and we're going to be setting up next year's iteration very soon. But it's always like the first week of May at the Music Box, and I helped found that event, so that's a very special place in my heart.
Yep, Music Box is a fantastic venue.
Oh, God,
great group of people.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, we greatly appreciate all of our listeners for choosing this podcast, supporting independent films and the Blue Whiskey Independent Film Festival. I'm Jonathan C. Leggett, and thanks for imbibing with us.
It does sound different with mugs.
Yeah, very, very different with mugs.